So I want to talk to you real quick today about KDE Neon distribution. So I started it as a distro review, and then I liked it a lot. And I said, this is way more than a distro review. I'm going to wipe out my computer and reload it just with this. So I did it by starting on my laptop, because that's usually where I test things. So the laptop is critical, but if I'm not using it as intensely as my desktop, so I can say, okay, I can erase this and really try it. So if I do a distro review, I like to be very thorough and make sure I understand the distro. Well, it works so well on my laptop, and there was so much cool eye candy, which I'm going to share with you here in a second, that I went ahead and made it my main distribution. I know Ubuntu's changing. They're getting away from Unity, and Unity's always been boring, but it's been stable, and sometimes boring and stable go together, and I have work to get done because I use Linux as my desktop, as my primary use tool for all the things that I do. So I kind of really needed it to be stable and very usable. So go ahead, and with that, I'm going to start with my review here of KDE Neon. So I run a 3-monitor setup like this, and it would be difficult to do the review with 3 monitors because, well, YouTube's not that wide, and I don't want everything so small that you can't see it. Now, when using it in multi-monitor mode, it works fine. I can drag everything right across all the screens. I didn't have any issues at all setting up the multi-monitor. Matter of fact, it's really easy to configure and set up. But I will note, and I won't do the rest of the video in this, of course, because it would be a little bit too small, like I said, but I will note how you configure the desktops. So when you right-click to go to configure desktop, I know it's small, but this is the part where you can choose the wallpaper. You can see it's highlighted the wallpaper for this one, but when I move it over here, it doesn't highlight the other one. You have to right-click and start on each desktop for the wallpaper. It's kind of an interesting side note, but I wanted to make sure that some people who, even myself, was like, well, how do I change the wallpaper on the other one? You simply right-click on each desktop. So they are unified, and I can drag things across there, but you configure a per desktop. And as I understand the design from the KDE standpoint, that they did not want you to span like it does in Ubuntu, where you can have one wallpaper that spans all 3. They set individual wallpapers for each one. So there's not an option to drag the wallpaper. The other side note is, and I'm not going to do it right now, but if I grab these widgets over the side, and we'll cover widgets in the review here, the widgets, if I try to drag them over to another desktop, it just crashes KDE. It recovers immediately. I'll note that you may even see it here. Occasionally, you'll find when you're playing around or doing something that's, for example, grabbing widgets and trying to drag them to another desktop, it will crash the KDE engine for the graphics engine that it's doing. And when it does that, it recovers instantly and doesn't lose my Windows, doesn't lose anything. It just stops, restarts real quick. Not the computer, just the window decorations seem to stop, and it restarts that interface. But all my apps stay open, and I even had it do it while I was recording, and the recording didn't even glitch. It just disappears and comes back. And you get a little frowny face down here in the bottom to let you know that something happened, that there was a crash, and you can give the details to KDE. So it really shouldn't crash. It should just tell me you can't do that. But, this is one of the things. If you want bleeding edge and fun development, you're going to get occasional things like that. But it doesn't really interfere with my work, so it's not at all a showstopper for using this. And it's not much of a use case I have for swinging widgets across the screen. That's the only thing I can find that consistently cause it. I've had it happen where I play with a lot of things when I'm goofing with the settings, and I think I play them too fast, and I can't do it consistently, but I've been able to get it to crash by doing that. So let's jump to middle screen only. Now, when you're on the screens, you may have noticed I only have the launcher. I'll show it by clicking it real quick. It's only showing up on this one. That's something else that's very customizable, and everything about KDE is customizable. It's really what makes it a very attractive interface to use, because you can really tweak a lot of things to make it work the way you want. Now, that being said, let's jump into some of the settings and look at the display and monitor setups. Now, it may not be obvious, but what you do is you click this, you click each monitor, and you can change resolutions in individual monitor. It's got the standard, so drag around to arrange them. You can hit the identify options, and let me put it back on 3 screen here. When you identify, it puts the name of each monitor across, so that's pretty cool. So you can find and arrange them when you're setting them up. Now, primary display. This is, right now, I have it set to this middle display here. And what that does is that chooses where the default bar here task manager bar goes. Now the task manager bar we'll get to too, it's very customizable, but you can simply right click and add it to the other screens. So that's another option. You know, I set the primary one to be this one, so it puts it here. You can say no primary output and then spread it across, but I kind of like it only on one. I don't need the launcher duplicated, so everything's all in one place. Now that being said, I'll also show this real quick. So let me open up a couple applications, and I'm going to put it back in 3-screen mode because it's easier to show you how this works. This is just one of those eye candy type of things that looks really cool. I have it set in, you set the hotkeys, and it allows me to spread these out so I can choose different things that are open. And what this does is it's kind of a way to switch between windows, so I can see all the things, even if they're under other things, like this was. The trash was under this, but when I do this, it switches the windows back over. So it's pretty cool, and that effect is hard to show without me showing you all 3 screens. And that's a hot corner effect, and we'll get to how you customize some of that in a second here. All right, so discard, I didn't really want any of the changes that I did in there. It does have, you know, nice little prompts, apply, discard, so you can do that. So Workspace theme, I'm using the Breeze theme that came with it. Desktop theme, I chose the Oxygen. It's really easy to change these, and I'll show you when you're using it. It's got such a nice feel to it, the way when you mouse hover over things, networks, Google Chrome, Clipboard contents. It's kind of got that, I've kind of seen this on Mac. They have a really nice, I'm not saying they copied Mac. I'm not much of a Mac user, but I do know that it's very similar. Now, other things that are kind of cool is I have multiple desktops set up, and it slides really nice. It also tells you what's on those desktops. So desktop 1 has these things open. Desktop 2 just has minimized Google Hangouts. So that's really cool the way it's kind of when you mouse over. These are all kind of default behaviors that are in there, and the theme just sets all the colors around it. I kind of like this dark theme just so you know which one I'm using. Going through here, we got desktop behavior, and this is where you get into the screen edges. This is the present Windows all desktops. Now, it's showing one screen, but these hotkeys aren't per screen. These hotkeys go to the furthest screen. This means furthest screen to the left and furthest screen to the right. And I think I got the same thing set up on each one. Yeah, present all desktops. So if I move my mouse to the far corner of either one of these monitors, the far right monitor, or I could put it in the middle. Now you can customize these to do different things. And what these are is I'm right clicking on these. You can say activity manager, run command, or just lock screen, for example. And what it would do is you just swing your mouse to the corner and it'll just lock your screen for you. Kind of a handy effect if you want to when you're walking away. But once again, this comes into the customization that you get it. Discard changes. Desktop effects. I'm using all the default ones. The only thing I did add, I like Wobbly Windows. So the Wobbly Windows look pretty cool, and that is in here. Yep, you just check the Wobbly Windows box. There are options that you can customize, more wobble, less wobble. I'm fine with the default, but once again, goes into you can really start changing all this. Simulate a magic lamp when minimizing windows or minimize animation. They have different options here, so we'll go ahead and apply a different one. And that looks kind of cool, this magic lamp effect. So I like this because this was something Ubuntu, you had to load some tweak tools and things like that. Out of the box, these are built-in features of KDE Neon, which is pretty cool. It's got some touch options, a locking screen option here. I only need 2 virtual desktops. You can customize how you switch. You can set hotkeys for it, Control F1, Control F2. You can do the Control Alt if you want, if you're used to that in multiple desktops in Ubuntu. I think the default is Control Alt and the arrow key to change to different desktops. So you can recustomize it to do that. You can also change it. They still have the fade desktop cube animation. I just kind of like it to slide back and forth. But you've got those options in here. So if you want to set up 4 desktops and have the cube again, that's an option. You know, those are built in there now. So you can get into, when you open up the Workspace theme, you can change your cursor theme to different themes. You can change the splash screens. There's lots of little options in here where you can play with and customize everything. Application style, fine-tuning, group box, how the radio buttons work. this is just more customization you can do. I thought this was cool. They have a Windows 90, Windows 9X, and you can make things appear like Windows. I like the breeze. I think it looks better. But if you say, you know, I like that old style Windows, that's what I'm used to, you can change the widget style and things like that. I'm going to discard the changes. Same with the window decorations. And getting new decorations, it's loading data. You can pull stuff right online and choose, we're going to say by rating, and then you can go to details and you can get ideas of other ways you can customize it. So once again, it goes to that huge amounts of customization. You can just import themes right here. You don't have to go download them. You have to install them. It's all built right into the KDE Neon. I'll discard this. And because so many things run with the Gnome GTK, you also have customization for some of the Gnome things that are running in there. So because you can run some of the Gnome applications within there. Same with icon sets. That's all in there. Window management, how you want it to use the task switcher, different KWin scripts for minimizing all this, more customization, individual window behaviors. So you can say to do certain things. I haven't really messed with this much, but it lets you get real deep into customization of direct rules for each one. So pretty slick stuff. Startup and shutdown, you can customize the login screen. I left it at the default blue one because I don't care that much, but it lets you customize the login screen and cursor theme and what the user is. You can turn on auto login. I care about security, so I don't like my computer auto logging in and make it do a password. Automatically started applications and scripts. You can add programs and things like that to here. Background services that are running. Desktop sessions, confirm logout, offer shutdown options. Once again, more fine tuning, because when you go to leave, it's got these little options here, and then it comes up again when you click it. It'll you choose which one, and if I say log out, it brings you the option again as opposed to just logging out. So you can change it so it doesn't do that. Boot splash screens. Once then you can change that. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to change it to details because I do like that. But it's just got a kind of real simple system by which it displays the breeze animation. It kind of, I want to say slightly reminds me of Windows 10 with the little spinny things on there. But we'll go ahead and do that. I want to change it. Multimedia power management and all that. Connectivity through networking. Bluetooth settings are in there. I don't have Bluetooth set up on my computer, so I don't really have much to show you there. Some of the proxy settings for the system, connection preferences, SSL preferences. So you can choose if you wanted to drop certain certificates that are in there. Then we'll go back to all settings. Now, you also have customization for input devices, mouse, joystick, touchpad. It doesn't have one on here. Different keyboard layouts, and you can play with some of these settings if you're using a non-American keyboard. Left-handed, reverse scroll direction, move pointer keyboard with a numpad. I thought that was kind of novel that you could do that. And don't have a really use case for it, but more pretty neat. Printers. Click here to add a new printer, and I'll see if it finds my printers. And it does. Found my Dell laser printer right here. Doesn't exactly know which driver to use, but nonetheless, the printer menu. I haven't set up printers on my computer yet, but I know this Dell, even though it is a Dell, it works better with the HP driver. At least it did in Ubuntu, so we'll go ahead and probably put that in. I'm going to skip that part for now for the video. But like I said, you have a lot of options in here. Now, let's get to the taskbar down here and how that works. To start closing everything. Oh, right. Also, just so you know, you have the move to desktop when you right click, minimize, maximize, start new instance of this or pin it. More actions, keep above others, full screen shade, keep below others. So kind of neat. You can also choose grouping. So some of the programs may have groupings when they open up multiple windows. You want that to group instead of being separate instances. I like that all the customization is right on the right click context. Now you're not seeing it because it's actually dragged to another screen, but it works really well. Now if I drag this to another desktop here, it comes back to this desktop. Let me show you real quick. So it comes back and forth to this desktop, but the animation does spread across the desktops, which pretty slick. Well thought out. Can't leave that. VirtualBox works really well in this, and there's a couple little things too. When it opens up, and we're going to go ahead and open up full screen here and show you. So all the switching still works much the same in here. So I can still go through and do all the switching. It doesn't have any problems. So if I'm over in this side here, the different windows pop up. And I can jump between all the applications much the same. And it's very fluid. So there's even Windows. It just now took VirtualBox and put it in a box and spread across all the windows that I have open without a problem. It doesn't mind everything. Even though it's a full screen app, it lets the full screen apps come down and I can switch back and forth to them or switch to something that's behind them. Nice feature. I mean, it's very aware. Even though something may be pushing a full screen, the overriding engine allows me to zoom out to the different screens. Which I like that. It makes it easy. Application switching is actually very important because the idea of the computer is we can multitask and do lots of things at the same time. And this doesn't only just allow me to do that, this allows me to do this and very fluidly, even though I'm running maybe Windows and Apple, full screen application mode with VirtualBox, I can then jump out to something else. Now let's start talking widgets. Now I have widgets way over here, and as I said, they don't drag well, but I'll show you how you add those. I mean, they have such a nice, simple way to do it. So we're going to go to Add Widgets, and we're going to add some of the same widgets again. So I like the CPU load monitor is pretty cool. So I'm just going to drag it here. Now there's different places you can add widgets. This little 1 says there's a widget over here. This 2 next to it is because there is 2 versions of this widget running right now. And the system load one I added here because there's different places we can add widgets. So we're going to add a panel options, add a widget. And it's the same thing. I can open it up either way, but if I want, I can drag the widget down to here. And I actually dragged it there. So we're going to remove it because I didn't want it there. But you just drag the widget you want. If I wanted the CPU load monitor to be down here, I can. The downside is about that particular one is that particular one doesn't fit well here. It will take this and just shove everything over. Actually, I'll show you real quick. So let's look at the CPU one again. So we can keep adding multiple copies of the same widget. And we're going to drag it down here. And you can see I've ruined the way this looks down here. So suddenly all my applications get grouped, and this is just way too big. So we right-click, panel settings, and then it gives me a little red X here. And we hit the X, and now we got it back to normal. Now this is really handy. I love the undo button, and the undo button is part of the notifications that are coming up. And so here's the system tray notifications. We're going to go ahead and close that one here, and right-click close that. I've accidentally goofed up and deleted something I didn't mean to delete. You're like, oh, I clicked on the wrong one. The undo button's really, really handy because then I can just go through and go, all right, I need to undo that. Now inside of here, I've got OBS Studio running, which is doing the recording. No batteries. I could probably remove that. System is up to date. The updater is really smooth. Printers, KDE Connect, and Device Notifier when I plug things in. I have Google Chrome. I allow that to run a tray and Shutter to run a tray. And we have the Clipboard. So let's go back and show you. These are the ones that are all in default for the widgets, and then this is the system load indicator. I like this because I don't have the widgets on top of things, and if I see these going up too high, I'm, especially from rendering, I like to know, do I have enough CPU resources to do one more thing? And that's what this one here kind of gives me a feel for. So back into the widgets, show you the other widgets that I have. Whoops. Add widgets. So I like the network one. So we'll put network monitor over here. And what else do we have? We have network monitor, memory, and hard disk. Now when you're arranging the widgets, I'm going to close the widget thing, they kind of snap to each other, and so you can line them up a little easier. And they have right-click customization. So right-click is remove, options. We'll go to settings for this one, and we only care about SDA. So now we've well, I have 2 hard drives, so we'll do SDB as well. But you can actually have it watch just the file system. So you can have it watch a single partition, a whole drive. It recognizes the loopback devices, decrypt devices show up down here. So it's kind of nice. You can really, a lot of these have a lot of customization. So this is showing you all my CPUs. So we'll go CPU load monitor. But I could say only show me certain CPUs, only show me the system. If none are checked, all show. If you check just one, it'll just show the ones there that you checked. So maybe I only care about what those 2 CPUs are doing, or I care about none of them, and I only care about the system. Like I said, it's very, you can customize it however you want. Same with the memory status. There's only physical and swap memory, but either way, you kind of get the idea. If you have multiple network adapters, and this works on my laptop well, we go to network monitor settings, and I choose both interfaces because I have a wireless and a wired network adapter, and I can easily watch the traffic. And then we just go remove, 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 and they're all gone. Now these show up in my notifications, and I can actually go back, and if I want, put them all back. So I can hit undo to all these, or go back through notification history until it fades away. And I'm going to go ahead and clear it. And that's letting me clear out all the different widgets I created. Now in the panel options, I'm going to go to the panel settings again. Just right click, panel legends, more settings. I can just say I want it to auto hide, always be visible. Windows can cover, Windows can go below. Left, right, center alignments, and then if you want, you can add top or bottom. There's more things you can add to it. The nice thing is you can't accidentally drag it up or anything. You have to right click and get into the context menu of it, or it has an edge one here. Add space, add widgets, more settings, and it starts letting you change things around. Remove the panel. So like I said, really nice. The default works pretty well, but if you want to add, like I added this at the bottom, and just add the widget over there. Now there's a few other widgets in here too. Activity, you can put a clock if you want. You know, people like clocks. They have a binary clock for those of you that read binary well. I do not. I get it, but I don't. Comic strip, so we can get new comics, install them, and you can have comics that come up all the time, and pretty novel. It's got a lot of different options. I haven't gone through all of them. Least helpful's in here, cyanide and happiness, so it's going to show their comics in there. I kind of like it. It's a fun little widget. I don't use it because I need no more distractions than I already have. I have enough distractions to try to get things done. Puzzle, this is novel. I haven't even tried this one. Okay, cool. So you can, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at these. They just seem to agitate me, but I know you're supposed to shuffle this. But once again, this comes back to the Tom doesn't need more distractions. I have enough things that are that are keeping me from getting something else done. Put the lock button, console profiles, sticky notes. That's kind of neat. Quick share, search. Sticky notes might be kind of novel. How's that look? Oh, that's cool. Yellow sticky notes. Kind of reminds me of the Windows sticky notes, so I can just have something and jump over and type into it. I might leave that there. That's kind of cool. Copy, paste, select all. I'm always worried when I do this. I try to, if I have notes, I always try to make sure I'm able to save them, because I'm afraid I'll have something that's somewhat important in notes, and I'm like, the computer will crash, and then I have to look at how they're backed up, if they are at all. But that's kind of novel that they've got the sticky notes on there. Actually, here's another question. How to remove the sticky notes? I don't know. It doesn't go away easy. Oh, that's cool. It goes down here. Oh, there we go. Now we can go to panel settings, and I can even remove the sticky notes. Ah, neat. Okay. We learned something new on here. But this level of customization, I believe there's ways you can download more widgets, but just the amazing amount of them that are built in by default out of the box is really good. Now, one of the things I like as well, and let me open up Genie here and we'll show you, is you say, you know, this is something that is important. If I even spelled that right. So I use Genie for a lot of stuff because sometimes I open up PHP files, sometimes it's a config file. Works really well for those things. Now let's take and put something in the clipboard and put it here, here, but then we go, you know, I wanted it to not have this, so we only want that, and then we only have this part, and I'm like, oh, I wanted the whole thing back in the clipboard. That's something built in here. So we have a clipboard history. It's the little scissors here. And there we go. Here's the different things that are in the clipboard. Now I can reload them into the clipboard again. So I've got those options. I can edit the contents, invoke an action based on it, edit. This is where it gets even more novel. Show the barcode. So let's say you have something you want on your phone. It pops up a QR code. You can scan it with your phone, and the contents of the clipboard, this particular thing shows up. Let's say it's a long password, or especially I've done this with license keys. I need the license key on another device. So I can just take my phone, point it at it, and I have it. That is really novel to me that I can do that. And just clicking on it is enough to put just reloads in the clipboard. So right here I said net. Then it's back in the clipboard, Control V, paste it. This turns out started out as that's kind of neat. After I started using KDE Neon, I'm like, this is invaluable. Where have you been all my life? This is really cool. So that was a really neat feature to see that. And that's one of the default widgets that's already loaded on here. So going and closing this, we'll go to the network settings real quick. Configure network connections. I don't have wireless on here, but it shows up. I've added. The only thing I found out is if you're using some of the VPN stuff, it doesn't load all the ciphers for the VPN. Let me get you the piece that's missing real quick. Yeah, when I added OpenVPN to my laptop, it was missing the ciphers, and I had to just run. It was really simple to do. I had to do apt-get install network manager OpenVPN, and that added the extra ciphers that I needed because I use really the newest ciphers for my VPN with multiple keys. But the network settings are pretty straightforward. You can create multiple WAN connections. I only have the one wire connection here, but if you wanted to create multiple profiles like you did in other Ubuntu, for example, like I just haven't gotten around to creating them yet. It works well. Switching between them, not a problem. And it's been pretty straightforward and easy. I don't really have any complaints about how the wireless or that works. Like I said, I don't have wireless here to demonstrate it, but trust me, it works great. Now, when you're in here, and I've got some of the things in here. So here's all of your applications off the launcher. That being said, I've loaded a lot of stuff on here. It doesn't come with anything. They don't even have LibreOffice. You don't have a good calculator on here. They have very, very few things loaded, which is kind of nice, but also for someone who's not used to Linux, a little bit more difficult. Now, any application you want, and we'll pull up, like you can search by just typing, and we'll right click on Genie, and I want to add it to my favorites since I just loaded it. I'm still setting on my desktop. But so any app that you want in the favorites here, so you don't have to search for it, is here. But at any time when you're in these, I can just start typing and find things. And it's automatically searching my documents. It's searching the different applications and documents. Apps come up first, documents come up second. So for whatever reason, I guess there must be something in here that GE comes up with and lets you launch them. Because I found a couple documents that didn't look like in there. Back to the favorites is the Software Center. And this is where we do all the loading of all the things. The Software Center is really nice. Everything's grouped well. We can load the different tools and tweak tools. And if I wanted Inkscape in here, Gparted I already loaded. It's really straightforward. You just click install. Now, I actually really like not having everything installed because, like, for example, in Ubuntu, defaults Rhythmbox. I never use Rhythmbox. I like VLC. And if I wanted to load VLC, which I did, you just type in up here and it finds things containing VLC and you can see remove. So it's very quick to add things. You can go back and we'll go ahead and clear this. So as far as applications go, I'm impressed with this. It works really, really well for being able to install things. I already installed Kdenlive. It has a Dolphin file manager, which I'll get to in a second here. You can install a KDE development environment. You can go here to your installed. So as an application store, and you just want to see all the things I've installed. I like this a lot. It's just really slick because it reminds me more of a normal working app store, which I think is better than the way Ubuntu does it. I've always had I don't know, I never cared for the Ubuntu app store as much. This just seems nicer. So it shows everything installed. Here's the settings for software management. I know it's a little bit hard to read, but what you're seeing here is all the difference. I did add like the OBS PPA to this and things like that. And because under the hood here, we're running a standard Debian-based distribution / Ubuntu kind of. I'm not sure exactly all the forks. I don't have the details on that. Anyways, So all your sudo apt-get install commands work fine, which for me, I have a list when I load a computer, and let me drag it over here real quick. This is like a quick list of things that I load all the time, and I just jump right in here and I go, okay, I need to load Genie Shutter, and I just put these all real quickly. I don't need this one anymore. This I could probably delete. But these are all the different tools that I'm loading all the time whenever I set up a new computer. So I just apt-get and paste all those into a list, and it installs all of them, and my computer's mostly set up, or at least software-wise set up to get things going. So the software store is really nice. There's no updates, but the updater shows up here. It doesn't have anything to show me. It's really straightforward, and tells you there's updates. You say yes, and you load them. I mean, there's not much to it. This is also kind of neat. If you've seen, I clicked on Plasma add-ons. These are all kinds of more fun things you can add to here. The list is huge. I don't know if I have time to do a whole review of all the different themes, looks and feel, Plasma themes. You can glassify. Like I said, there's a lot in here. I haven't had time to go through them all. I could probably spend an entire episode or YouTube video just going over all the cool themes in here. Maybe one time I'll sit and do that. That's going to take some time. But overall, it's really neat. You can even install window manager effects, cool effect, zoom desktop effect. So scripts, well, they have scripts. Wow, they have tiling scripts, sticky window snapping. The customization's not just crazy. You can go through and add more to it. So that being said, there's quite a bit you can do with this. And the console, the way the console integrates too, it's really easy, has multiple profiles, switch profiles, configure the shortcuts. This is another really nice feature, the way that works. It saved the customization and it changes in real time. I was like, that's cool. And as soon as I opened it up again, it remembered. Now, something else I'm not going to cover just in this, because I'm still learning it, is the activities. You can actually choose in your window layout and all the applications that are open and set up an activity. And this has been around for a little while, and once I figure it out, I'm going to do a separate video on it. KDE supports like entirely laying things out a certain way for you, which is pretty cool. So if you have a certain way you like your development laid out, or a certain way you like your system laid out when you're working on something, it can remember all those window settings and put them all back. Not adept enough yet to really show you how it works, and I don't completely have it set up. Now, this is interesting. So I'm going to bring it back to the 3 screen so you can see what's going on here. I found this kind of weird. So I'm in KDE Live, and so some other windows open here. But if you noticed, when I'm in KDE Live, because I like my videos to have, and let me open up a video real quick, just kind of get an idea what I'm doing here. So this window is where I project monitor. When I edit, I generally edit in 3 screens by putting the things I'm working on over here. That way I can just drag them in over here. But one of the things I thought was kind of strange, so I have the project monitor dragged over here, but when I click off of it to something else, the project monitor disappears. It doesn't overlay, and that's actually really handy. At first I thought it was a bug, then I realized it's actually a feature, and the reason I call it a feature is because I sometimes have more windows open here where I have other things I want to see, and then I have to switch to them being on top. Well, now I don't have to. When I click it, it switched to them being over there, and I'm like, oh, I can see all my desktops. So kind of novel. If you have something in one window and it expands to the other windows, when it loses focus, it brings all it back to one window. I don't know if this works for everything. I don't have a lot of other programs that do that, but this one is nice. One of the nice things, and this is KDE Live, is you can load these layouts so you can have it spread across different screens. Now, another side effect, and this is something I hadn't figured out, and it was a bug I had. When I edit 4K videos, specifically videos from my drone, one of the problems I was running into was it was really slow and really choppy. And I couldn't figure out why. I played with it. Now, it worked fine at Ubuntu 16. When I went to 17, that's when it got slow and choppy. But at the same time, I know I updated to a new version of KDE Live, and I'm like, I don't know where the problem is because I updated more than one thing at a time. And it turned out that since I switched over, and it's the same version of KDE Live I was running because I was pulling it from the PPA, it works great. Now I don't have choppiness. Matter of fact, it's smoother than ever when it does this. It's incredible how fast the KDE Live editor works in KDE Neon. I know they're both part of the KDE project, and I don't know if that has something to do with it, but in terms of speed, it works substantially faster. I've been really impressed with that. It's almost like I got a CPU upgrade just by switching this. Now, last thing I'm going to cover here is the file manager. And I've used Dolphin before, and it's come a long way. So being able to do different things in here, and very quickly once I started learning all the different ways you can view things. So I'm just holding the control key, pressing 1, 2, or 3. These are these switchings up here. Let me go over somewhere I have some images. So let's see, I go to data drive, photography. The way you can preview images is pretty slick. I can just zoom in real quick like this, and I'm just holding control on the mouse, so it's pretty neat for being able to view things. You have your show and groups. I can split the tabs, so I open this in a tab, open that in a tab. Lets me copy and paste between things, so kind of novel. And I can close the tabs back down to bring it down to 1. Once you get used to using it, I didn't like one-click being on. I always just turn it off in other distros, but I said, no, this is actually kind of nice. So I was able to really get used to it and be able to go through things. Also, the GWEN view, I kind of like it. I got used to using it, and it will automatically, if you open up one file, it lets you preview through all the other files pretty quickly. So I'm like, this is neat. So I want to open up one photo here that I did. I can jump between photos with the arrow keys really quickly without doing it, or we're going to go back over here to preview. And the preview is really nice. So I had a bunch of thumbnails in here, and I wanted to preview things. I could just scroll in and make them bigger. And then I'll go, nope, I just want it back to be files again. I like that a lot. That's just really handy for when you're trying to sort out images and things like that. Also, if you want to start selecting, I'm not exactly sure. I think, yeah, there we go. You can click these little pluses. I was confused as to what they were, but they're for selecting files without doing it. I do control or, different ways, just control click or shift click and grab a group of them at a time. But the little pluses are so you can actually just click the plus next to each one. I want this file and this file and this file, and then you can copy and paste them. Now that being said too, copy, paste, continue. I need something bigger. So copy, finish, let me delete that. Also, how you move to trash, delete. Do you really move this item to trash? Yep. If you make groups of files that you want to delete, they pop up in a little list. And once again, our little notifications down here let us undo things, which is pretty handy. So let's go get something bigger like the my VirtualBox file. So we're going to copy that. And just paste it here. Paste one file. And then we get the little dialog box down here to tell you what it's doing. So I like the fact that the way the notifications do, and you see the little spinning box down here. Really nice. So I know that something's going on. I can do something about it. And you're probably wondering, you copied and pasted it, so what's the clipboard look like? It shows that it's copying a file in the clipboard. And so I can click on that, and it's the file name in the clipboard. So you can copy and paste files and reload them back into the clipboard. So kind of novel. So definitely something I really think is neat. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this copy, which I like that too. I can just pause it, which is neat, or stop it. So there, we stop the copy from happening. And whoops, move trash, trash. I'm sure I can actually delete both of these things here. So we'll trash both, and it'll show both files. Trash. There we go. It's probably going to give me an error because it was already in the middle of copying it or trashing it. Yep. All right. Nope, it didn't. It just finished. Moving failed. Yeah, we know. That is because that's on my secondary drive, so it doesn't. I don't have the trash can set up on there. Emptying the trash. Pretty simple. Empty trash. And away we go. We've now cleared out the trash can. These are also default. I didn't add these, but you can add links to your folders on here, like home and things like that. So kind of novel that you can easily do that. Network, trash, and you see the trash is empty. Lets you get to the root of the system, all the standard permissions, and I created some shortcuts, like data drive is a separately mounted drive. Now, that being said, easy ways to handle hard drives. There's not a hard drive handling in here, so if you have multiple hard drives and you go, hey, I want to auto mount this drive or do some of those settings, turns out you have to go in here and add the Gnome disk utility. Yes, the Gnome one, like in Ubuntu. That's not part of the default install. So disk handling, I mean, granted, you can go into Etsy and edit the FS tab file and manually do things, but I also like to easily be able to check smart status of a drive and go, okay, is there any issues with it? Because I also plug in multiple drives on here and I have to edit the mount options. I kind of like the utility, and it has a smart status, so I don't have to go to the command line every time. And that works, like I said, it works really well as long as you add it in. So that's the Gnome disk, and you can find it inside the, go back to the Software Center and just throw it in there. And you just type in disk and hit install. Pretty straightforward. So it's kind of an overview of KDE Neon. I know I didn't get to every feature on here. And a couple things I'm going to do separate videos on is going to be the activities once I completely have a better understanding of how they work. Because the activities, I played them a little bit and I broke some stuff, but they actually let you even switch out all the desktop feel, the wallpaper, everything. So you can actually change like the entire mode of the system. And I want to make sure I'm clear on how all that works before I do a video on it. But my overall impressions is rock solid stable, enough that I'm using it on my production desktop. I haven't had any issues with it. I've only been using it a week, but I've been using it a couple weeks on my laptop, and I've just been really impressed. Like, I have not had issues. It never crashed during the entire recording of this. The only thing I know will make it crash is the dragging a widget across different screens, but that's a pretty minor problem, and I don't often drag widgets across the screen. So hopefully you like this review of KDE Neon. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the development and really happy about the fact that Kdenlive, my video editor, is working even faster. So if you like the content here, like and subscribe, and I will keep doing some more Linux distros. But in terms of happiness, this one really made me happy and wanted to share it with you guys, because definitely give it a try if you're interested. Maybe, you know, if I got something wrong, let me know, and all that fun stuff. So if you like the content here, like, subscribe. Have a great day. Thank you very much for watching.